more secure financial futures for the real estate investor or the homeowner. He's able to provide expertise in properties and financing with your specific financial objectives. This show is dedicated to help.
Hey, all of you out there in Facebook land. And hello, South Florida. Welcome to another live edition of the Real Estate Show, South Florida's #1 program about real estate and America's longest running daily radio show, all about the topic of, you guessed it, real estate. My name is Eric Willner. I am your host, as I am here Monday through Friday when we broadcast this radio show 5 days a week from 8 until 8:30 p.m. That's Eastern Standard Time. So wherever you're tuning in from, whether it's on our local AM 1470 station, whether it's on the FM dial from 95.3 on one end to 103.9 on the other end, or 96.9 right down the middle. Those are our FM stations. And you can always go to our website and stream it live right there at automaticlandlord.com. That's automaticlandlord.com. But each and every weekday evening, we broadcast this live, streaming it over the internet, on iHeartRadio, on those different stations, and also on our Facebook page. So I'm going to say hi to a couple of folks in a minute on our Facebook page. We've got a couple of people. I see them slowly coming on. And we also are doing this live right now on our YouTube channel, although that's sort of a little bit in our beta stage. And we got a great week lined up for you. And as always on a Monday, I start out with our Mondays on a Mission to give you sort of an overarching theme of what we're going to be talking about this week. We've got a couple of Zoom webinars this week, starting out with our Debt Shredder webinar. Now, this is for our team, which our expansion team, which we started growing. That'll be tonight following the radio show. Then on Thursday, we have a lot of interest building up for the entrepreneurs workshop that we're doing. Don and myself, who's a regular guest of mine on our Thursday show. After the show, we're doing an entrepreneur. Something that's been very near and dear always to my heart has been entrepreneurs. And that's why we started this 4-week series on Thursdays, starting this coming Thursday. And we're going to talk about, we're going to get into what it takes to be an entrepreneur in today's market. Take it from two people who are successfully moving forward, not stuck in this suspended animation, but moving forward in this economy. And I don't care whether you're a florist, whether you're in a restaurant business, or whatever your business is. If you have a business, you'll want to come and take advantage of this free 4-week series on everything from the management, the systems, to the marketing, what it takes, the ingredients. And we're going to talk about the ingredients. Now, if you have a business and you have a product, you definitely want to come. If you don't have a product, you want to be in business, or you have an idea for a product, again, I highly recommend this is going to be the first in a series. This is really going to give you the fundamentals, the groundwork that you need. And that's going to be, again, on Thursday night. If you want to attend, it is a Zoom meeting separate from the radio show. So what you got to do is you got to go to our website at automaticlandlord.com. That's automaticlandlord.com. And then just type in there the entrepreneur workshop, send me the Zoom link, or just request the Zoom link, because I'll know. That's all we got on the agenda for our Thursday evening. So Monday, our Mondays on a Mission, we're going to be talking about the different aspects of being in your business. Real estate being the most American business, in my opinion. It's in the business of America. Selling, renting, owning the piece of the American dream, a piece of the American land here, and it's a business that is really, it's got no barriers to entry usually, other than this barrier right here. That between the most valuable real estate that there is the real estate between the 6 inches between your ears, and if you can get that right, you can get real estate right as well. We'll be talking about that. Today I was on the phone talking with our Texas counterparts and looking at what the agenda is going to be for us in the Texas market, starting now through the end of the year, and then what's going to happen after that. Now, that will fall into play a lot more on our Wednesday edition of the Real Estate Show. This coming Wednesday, which is always our midweek report, we're going to be talking about the market and what direction is it going in. You know, if you're looking at the stock market for the last several weeks, you would think that the direction is up. If you were only looking at the stock market today, well, you would probably have some doubts about that, wouldn't you? And if you're looking for not what the general economy is, but what can your economy be, then again, Wednesday is our midweek report. Tune into that show. It's always very informative. It's about where to be in the marketplace as opposed to what little nitty-gritty thing this, this is not a newscast. This is really a what's useful cast about real estate. We're going to talk about the skinny bill. What's the skinny bill? Is there going to be a skinny bill? And now, as if the pandemic weren't tough enough, and you've got politics, which is getting in the crosswinds in the way of a stimulus bill. Well, guess what? New speed bump in the road now to the two factions of the economy of the government getting together, because now they're also going to be split on the appointment of a new Supreme Court justice because of those developments this week. So it's going to be a very interesting, I'm going to have fun preparing for Wednesday's show and other things. What else? Remember last week we dropped 3 big bombs on the midweek report on some ideas that ought to be keeping you awake at night, thinking about how do those affect you in particular. So that was our Wednesday. Now jumping back Tuesdays, Mondays is our Mondays on a mission. We talk kind of about the helicopter view of the business. Wednesdays we talk about sort of the national landscape, the what does the panorama look. Now Tuesdays our objective is always to get down into the dirt and talk about the nitty gritty. We're going to talk about specific, what systems are working right now, what methods are working right now. You probably haven't heard me talk a bit about the real estate ladder in a while, and this would be a good time to visit that in the context of systems. It's one thing to understand where you stand on the real estate ladder, what part of the real estate hierarchy you're in at this point, depending on your background, your experience, your knowledge, and your goals. But then once you decide that, or once you have that clarity, what are you going to do? We're going to talk about that in more detail with some pretty concrete ideas, some software ideas. And I'm probably going to pull back the curtain on a little secret of some things coming very soon. We're already looking and planning our following week. Next week's going to be very, very interesting. We'll be into the 4th week of October. And we'll be talking about some of the things now as we'll be inching ever closer to the election, which is going to make a big difference into, we're going to kind of run into a fork in the road. And a lot will be determined the first week of November. The unemployment figures, the election results, and everything else to do with the economy, the stock market, and the real estate market as a whole. Then, of course, we've got our Thursday show, which is our ATM show about the money. We'll talk more about that when we come back from our break, and we'll dig in a little bit deeper about the overarching theme. Let's talk a little bit more about this whole topic of going into business, to not having a sole dependence on one stream of income. I think one thing everybody's learned in the pandemic is that having a little bit of a side gig, a moonlight business, a second source of income, or a multiple source of incomes, that's what we're going to talk about when we come back. So don't touch that dial. You're listening to The Real Estate Show. My name is Eric Willner, and I will be right back.
Guru, and they'll tell you.
So let's talk a little bit about here. Let's see. Hello, Erica. My first hello on the screen. Earl, how you doing there? Long time no see. How's the great state of Illinois doing out there? How's everything going with the rehabs there? Is the you buttoning those things up, ready for some more? And Felipe, how are you doing? Felipe from California. What's going on out there in the smoky state of California? Are you in Northern or Southern California? I forget. We've usually got some folks from both Northern and Southern California on any given show. So that's good. Let's see here. And all right, Tom, how you doing? And see who else we've got going on there. Say hello if you're on there. I know that we got a bunch there, more than our talking right there. Your viewers. Guess allow your viewers to request to join you as a guest on your broadcast. Yeah, I don't think I'll do that right now. So you guys missed an incredibly jam-packed week last week, as I mentioned before. And how are you guys doing out there with your tenants? Are you seeing any change in posturing? Hey, Brian. Brian, now I know from Southern California. So are you guys experiencing any of the smoke from the wildfires up north? Taking a look really quick, see if there's any updates with the White House officials and the National Association of Realtors that we're supposed to be meeting regarding the eviction ban. Hey, Chrissy. We're getting ready to come back now. And welcome back. For those of you just joining us, you are listening to The Real Estate Show, South Florida's #1 program about real estate and America's longest running daily radio show about real estate. And we have been laying down sort of the agenda. Mondays is usually our general overview of where we're going to be in terms of our emphasis or our direction during the week. As I mentioned, this week we're kind of focusing more on the business of real estate. And that's going to be highlighted on Thursday evening, where we're doing our entrepreneur training. We're starting a 4-week entrepreneur training. Now, this is something that I've always done offline, not part of the radio show. And so we'll be touching base, on some of the high points during the week. But, during our show, which is really only a quick half an hour, it doesn't allow us to go in the depth that we want to. And of course, being on the radio, I have no ability to show you graphs and charts and some of the visuals that we have, which we will be doing on our Zoom meeting on Thursday. So again, if you're interested in attending that Zoom space available, then all you have to do is go to our website at automaticlandlord.com, where you can listen to this radio show live, where you can also listen to the rebroadcasts and the archives of the radio show notes, and where you can even download the podcast version of our radio show. But on there, on the first page, right at the bottom there, where you can send in questions and comments, just type in there the business seminar, the business workshop Thursday, request to Zoom, and as long as you give us the email address, we've got an email to send out to you that we have going out there. So it's interesting. I was just talking in the break to Brian out in Southern California, and I was asking if he's got the effect of the smoke, and I just pulled up a picture here, and I could just see, as the sun sets, this orange haze, even in Southern Cal, where Brian's now telling me they have 2 major fires. And I've been hearing more and more, by the way, that those were non-accidental fires, which would be a shame in the middle of all of the tragedy and, with the protests and the pandemic and the economy and everything, that there would be people sick enough to be out there setting these wildfires, especially people with a political agenda. So that's it. That is what's going on. But then I was looking here on the National Association of Realtors site. They're talking about dual crisis in California. Wildfires have scorched a record number of acres in California, Oregon, and Washington. and questions are emerging about the rebuilding process for the affected areas. Now, the good side, the good side of a bad situation, whenever there is destruction, whether it be hurricanes, fires, or flooding, there's always a boom in rebuilding afterwards. And so that's the positive side. So that could be a very positive force in the weeks and months once these things are under control. But it's amazing to think that in this modern world where we put people on the moon and on Mars, but we can't put the fire out in because of the major scale of things. Some real estate pros in the path of the fires have had to flee their homes, and of course, marketing to those areas is a no-go. And so business once again in Southern California, and not just Southern California, screeched to a halt. Buyers continue to flock to other areas despite the fire danger. And as we talked about in a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about the urban flight, it is a major trend that's going on, which is strengthening markets like the Texas market that we've always been so bullish about, markets like Arizona and particularly Florida, which is just on fire. So speaking in terms of sales, that is. And so that's kind of a key area. So, California, there's going to be a lot of praying needed in California, because first came COVID, then, first came the California politicians and the gross mismanagement of that great state, the biggest, the number one state in population, the number one state in business, and all these things. And then you hit COVID, and then you hit the fires. It just doesn't seem like California just, like I said, yeah, definitely, Chrissy, definitely needs some prayers. So I covered our Monday show. I covered our Tuesday show, very key tomorrow. So you definitely want to tune into that. We're going to talk about the systems. And I have a really cool analogy. Whenever I talk to a lot of my consulting clients, I talk about the idea of comparing real estate to a race car, to the race industry. And, you've got a driver, you've got a vehicle, and you've got to have systems, and you've got to have, the backup and a track to run on. And we'll talk about that, and we'll break that down, as a metaphor for real estate. We'll give you the specifics on that. And so you want to tune in for that. We talked about Wednesday, and then Thursday, as I mentioned, is our About the Money. Now, on this whole topic of businesses and the business of business, I want to say that if there was one word that you got to focus on, and it is the one word that is the difference between businesses that have survived and businesses that have thrived or died, because what can happen in the situation without this one element, and that's called cash flow. When it comes into the martial arts, they say cardio is king in the ring. And the equivalent for a business, the lifeblood of business is cash flow. If you've got cash flow, you can weather any storm and you can last as long as you can keep the cash flow going. What most people believe on is, they operate so much on potential. They operate on, the coming possibility, the roll of the dice going forward. When you look at the systems that we use and setting up, starting out with the business plan, the vision, and setting the particular goals, if cash flow isn't at the top of the list. And so we're going to talk about Thursday, we're going to talk about how real estate is really another business, like every business, that is cash flow critical. And so we're going to talk about interest rate optimization. One of the largest expenses to a real estate business is the cost of debt. And we're going to talk about cash flow optimization and how to take a situation, analyze it, whether it's time to refinance, whether it's time to put money in the business or take out money out of the business, and how can you optimize the cost of capital in the process, even without refinancing. And that's going to be a big one, even without refinancing. We'll show you how to do that also in our Thursday show. So the the other thing that in the whole concept of this, a real estate investor has got to have a couple of things on their mind, right? The moratoriums, which have been an absolute nightmare for real estate investors, because here we are in a market that is hot, low interest rates, which would be fuel for buying, and yet we have an extreme lack of inventory. And inventory is the name of the game here, why we don't have higher sales, why it's now driving prices up, even in an unemployment crisis and in a pandemic crisis. So on top of that, if you were listening to our show last Wednesday when I was talking about Open Door. Now, Open Door is one of several iBuying giants. And I explained what the iBuyers were. And these are giant hedge funds. And I introduced the term. I bet you haven't seen this anywhere else. And I'll bet you it'll be a while before they catch on to what's going on here. But there's something called an SPAC, a Special Purpose Acquisition Company, which is a fancy but code word name for a hedge fund that is specifically set up to go out there and buy more residential real estate. And they have certain classifications. Now they have certain designations. And now you're seeing them not only going public, these billion-dollar funds are going public to raise multi-billions, which is why I'm telling you that when the market does free itself from these artificial supports, the rent moratorium, the foreclosure moratorium, and you're going to see these guys swoop in and pick up all of the distressed property that they possibly can. Now, you and I, as small investors compared to these guys, we have the advantage. Remember, it's not the big that eat the small, it's the fast that eat the slow. But the fast have to be fast, and you can't be hesitating, wondering, analyzing and getting caught in the paralysis of analysis. You've got to be ready to go, and you've got to know what you're doing in there, which again is why you want to be tuning in to stay up to date on what these guys are doing. It'll be interesting to see when this public offering actually starts. They obviously want to try to beat the clock here before the end of the year, and you're going to see these guys that make instant offers, instant cash offers. Just imagine, nowadays the realtors have to be very concerned, because now, instead of being the go-to avenue to sell your home, now consumers are going to have lots of choices. All these SPACs, all of these iBuyers, the Zillows that the Open Doors, the Offer Pads, the Redfins. The value of a real estate agent that doesn't bring value to the table is going to be questioned, and so will their commissions. And the days of 6-7% commissions might be a thing of the past coming up pretty soon. So we'll see that, and we'll see how that's going and how that plays itself out. There's going to be a lot of things we're going to talk about on our Wednesday show, which I think you'll find very interesting. I'm actually watching things on a daily, if not hourly basis of what's coming on. But between the stimulus bill, and now you throw into the whole mix this brand new opening on the Supreme Court. This may be the opportunity for the current president to have nominated his 6th judge on the Supreme Court, which could be very good in terms if you find you fall in line with very conservative values. If you're trying to build a liberal court, then the timing of this probably wasn't so good. So back to our Thursday, I'm very excited about this topic here, and that in the context of the multiple streams of income, if you can minimize and even rapidly eliminate the cost of debt, well, then you're in the right place, and you'll be in the right place on Thursday when you tune in for that show. Anyway, so now you have a good idea what we've got going for this entire week here. We want to also remind you, this show today was brought by the Debt Shredder, which is a way for people with mortgages how to pay off their mortgage in 1/3 to 1/2 of the time. If you want to learn more about that, again, go to our website at automaticlandlord.com. That's automaticlandlord.com, and just type in info on the Debt Shredder, and we'll be sure and contact you about that. No cost, no obligation, but a great way to accelerate the payoff of your biggest debt out there as well. So that's about it for today's show. We're about ready to wrap it up on there. If we have any other questions coming in from our Facebook page, I'll take those before we wrap it up. But I also want to just remind you that if you missed any part of the first half or any of our shows during the week, all of our shows are up on our website under the Real Estate Show at the top of the page. They're also on our Facebook page. And if you didn't know we had a Facebook page, you could have been watching this show entirely in its video version by going to facebook.com. If you don't have a Facebook page, /The Real Estate Show. That's facebook.com /The Real Estate Show. If you're on Facebook already, just search for The Real Estate Show with Eric Willner, and it'll take you right there, and you'll get all that information, also all in chronological order, going back for a long, long time. Anyway, just want to say thanks again. Say goodbye to all of those. Take care, Felipe, Chrissy, Erica, Tom, Earl, Brian, and all the rest of you out there watching us on our Facebook page. We'll see you again, same place, same time tomorrow. Until then, this is Eric Willner signing off. Drive safe and make it a great day. Bye-bye. Thank you, man. And here ends another homemade version of The Real Estate Show.